What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday, January 30. Do you have the midweek blues? Or are you winning? Carpe diem, Latin for seize the day. Welcome back to FOXY Games UK. I'm FOXY, your reliable source of aggregated video game news, rampant speculation and rumour. In today's news, the obvious, the not so obvious, and the rest is pretty much common sense to anyone capable of critical thinking, a trait not so common in this digital age. Sourced via GameNewt.com, there's just no denying Sony Interactive Entertainment had a very successful 2018, and with the company's PlayStation 4 system on track to perform even better in terms of software in 2019, at least according to analyst Daniel Ahmed of Nico Partners. PlayStation 5 rumours are growing at an alarming rate, especially with the start of a new year where Sony's next-gen offering is expected to make its debut. We've heard rumours about Sony working on PlayStation 5 hardware specs leaking through product code, next-gen mentions by developers in their job listings, providing just a small glimpse of the PlayStation future. Daniel Ahmed also shared some information on Sony's future, especially their expectations this year, and about the PlayStation 5 development kits going out to developers en masse. Here's a quote. PlayStation 5 dev kits are out there and I've heard positive things about it, but I wouldn't expect any information in the immediate future, so says Daniel Ahmed in a post on Reset Era forums. Though let's be honest, everybody, is this actually news to anyone? In another post, Ahmed shares his views on what Sony has in store for 2019, where he talks about how they have started to think about first-party support for PlayStation 5. What, only now just started to think about it? He went on to state, 2019 will be another solid year for the platform due to the large install base, growing network sales, strong third-party software, first-party software, and back catalogue. Lineup for the first half of the year is set, but second half is still in flux. Sony also have a couple of unannounced games, already existing IP with PlayStation 4 in mind, but I'm conscious that there have been discussions around making them cross-gen, next-gen titles. In general, most of the focus for Sony IP is on PlayStation 5 right now. It's still in early talks about the next gen, but I imagine we'll hear some whispers coming out of the Game Developer Conference. Wow, state the obvious, why don't you? But 2019 looks like it will be an interesting year for Sony Interactive Entertainment and PlayStation fans nevertheless. Sony is not attending the upcoming E3 2019 mega event, so rumours are circulating that they will have their own media event to reveal the PlayStation 5 and make any potential announcements about the future of the PlayStation ecosystem. Okay. So I suppose you know where I'm going to take this. Here are my thoughts. I'm noticing mainstream news sites and outlets are releasing PlayStation 5 info almost well over a year old, kind of like an old, torn up, turned out pair of shoes that is really being boxed up and sold as new. Myself aside, I fight my own corner, but let's give credit to those working tirelessly to get the latest PlayStation 5 or indeed Xbox Next Gen or Nintendo Switch news and rumour out there, presented with a slice of speculation in order to make some sense or semblance of it all. It is rather unfortunate, ladies and gentlemen, many of these outlets seem to be really overlooked in favour of the larger, more established channels with their somewhat quasi-up-to-date or up-to-the-minute reporting. It is rather amusing to see some 11 or 12 months later these sites are only now just reporting what has been apparent to those who have had their eyes on the ball since the very beginning. Still, it's not totally their fault, at least on an individual level, because a lot of these writers have to seek approval from the managing editor or some other hierarchical entity. Sadder still, some of these people are nothing more than pseudo-journalists, pseudo-game industry reporters who really base their craft purely on their ability to construct a few sentences. Yet some, yes, some, not all, obviously not all, are writers who happen to have landed a gig in the games industry, perhaps because they feel that is the easiest way to break into their desired field. I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, their first love is not gaming, rather a stepping stone to achieve a personal objective or goal. That's why many notable personalities from the mainstream games media who really have left their positions, often to never be heard of again, or at least within the games industry or within any particular outlet. So in essence, do not put your faith in part-time career advancing writers come journalists who really couldn't give a rat's tutu about games or gaming. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to aspire to something greater, but do not perniciously, capriciously suck us all in, then simply disappear without a trace. It's disingenuous at best, and at worst, damn right insulting to those who may have bought into that personality. I, for one, have had enough of these shelf-life game journalists, but what say you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Okay, that's my rather terse, if not moderately subtle, rant over. Now perhaps, ladies and gentlemen, before I get carried away, we should move into some other news. So, driving/racing enthusiast site GTplanet.com have reported Drive Club is the most popular driving game on PlayStation 4 to date. Yes, utterly shocking, I know. Drive Club has an estimated, though still astonishingly impressive, 10.5 million players. Here's the full story. So fans of the PlayStation 4 first exclusive driving game Drive Club, really according to player trophy information, has the largest number of players in the genre at a staggering 10.5 million players. The numbers come once again from the GameStat trophy tracking page. GT Sport reported on the site recently thanks to its updated 6.6 million strong GT Sport player base, though that was enough to put Polyphony's Sim Racer comfortably in the top 100 PS4 games, but it was beat out by a few others in the racing genre. At the top of the pile was Evolution Studios' Drive Club. As with the aforementioned GT Sport figure, comes with some slight caveats. For ready starters, every figure on the GameStat site is an estimate, and the numbers are based off the My PS4 Life feature, and while GameStat has revised them as more and more data becomes available, it's still not a perfect match. Sony's data also comes from sometime in November 2018. Helping push Drive Club further up the ranks is PlayStation Plus Edition. This cut-down version of the game was free to all PS Plus subscribers between June 25th and October 6th back in 2015. And it isn't clear how much this version contributes to the overall total. There's also Drive Club VR, though that does get its own separate trophy list, and thus isn't part of the 10.5 million figure, making it all the more impressive. Now don't go getting your hopes up for a sequel, however, at least not a direct one. While Drive Club had a rough launch, it matured into an enjoyable romp some 16 months later, but that wasn't enough to stop Sony from shutting Evo Studios in early 2016. Though Codemasters picked up some of the team, resulting in the non-racing game on Rush last June. Poor sales resulted in layoffs, though Drive Club game director Paul Rushinsky landed at Slightly Mad Studios. Now, with a long-rumored Hollywood blockbuster franchise game in the works at SMS, not to mention the entire Madbox console, it's possible the spirit of Drive Club will live on in the near future. Well, isn't that a surprise? Though now that Evolution Studios are no more, will we ever get to see a Drive Club sequel? I mean, judging by the most recent stats, people clearly enjoy it. And it is possible Sony could get another studio to create a sequel as they own the IP, though I, for one, am not holding my breath. But stranger things have happened. Would you be interested in a Drive Club sequel, and are you still playing PlayStation 4's first exclusive racer? Still, it looks amazing considering its age, with still some of the most impressive weather effects committed to silicon. Utterly astounding, even in 2019. And now for our final news item of the video. It's either good news or bad news for you, depending on your perspective. Long-time PlayStation stalwart Quantic Dreams is going multi-platform. Perhaps no more platform exclusives will grace Sony PlayStation platforms ever again. Initially sourced via VentureBeat.com, here's the full story. So for the past 12 years, Quantic Dreams has been really making exclusive video games like Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls for the PlayStation 3 and 4. But Chinese internet company NetEase Games announced today it has acquired a minority stake in Quantic Dream. And that means that Quantic Dream will now make interactive storytelling games for a much wider audience and on a wider number of platforms. The deal is the latest between a big Chinese game publisher and talented Western developer studio. Quantic Dream are all about that cyber life and will now expand its hiring and have the resources to invest in its next generation of games, said David Cage, co-founder of Quantic Dream, in an email interview with GamesBeat.com. So the 20-year-long running France-based studio will continue to operate independently under the direction of industry veterans Cage and Guillaume de Vondermeer. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. I am not French speaking. That's important for preserving really the creativity of a studio that made Detroit Become Human a powerful parable about modern society's mad rush to make a new generation of slaves in the form of human-like androids. Although they can spare the expense, there are plenty of willing slaves running around here in today's age. Now, Quantic Dream does a great job creating realistic human faces, or android faces in the case of its latest game, and deep emotional stories in the form of interactive video games. Detroit Become Human, which drove the human realism further than the previous titles did, that being Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain. In advance of QD's announcement, GamesBeat.com jumped on things fairly quickly, managing to secure an interview with Quantic Dream CEOs and upper management, as well as NetEase's general manager of investment and strategy. For the full interview, please draw your attention to the relevant link provided in this video's description, though here is a quote from Quantic Dream studio head David Cage. We're very excited to report that NetEase has taken a minority share in the capital of Quantic Dream. This investment will allow us to invest in future technologies and games in order to prepare for the next generation of platforms with the same ambition regarding creativity and innovation. Our goal is to develop a studio as a global multi-franchise company while remaining an independent studio. We want to keep developing original games in the genre we pioneered, but also expand our audience by being present on all platforms. We were not really just interested in just getting funding. A studio's future is shaped by vision, and this means that in order to realize it, you do need the money, but also finding the right partners with whom you can create synergies in order to build something together while remaining independent in your own decisions. We talked to many people interested in partnering with us, and you can bet Microsoft would have been one of them, but we found we were attracted by NetEase's strategy. We looked at their investments in Bungie or Second Dinner that felt very relevant. We shared thoughts about the respective visions of our thoughts and companies, and we realized that we had a lot in common. Also importantly, we felt their genuine enthusiasm and passion, which is also extremely important for us. They are a massive company listed at the Nasdaq and the 6th largest video game company in the world, but we quickly had a very close relationship based on trust and respect. My thoughts. You want my thoughts, I suppose. Well, how very gracious of you. Now, it's almost a certainty that the Bronze Age goat-herded mentality of many will take this news as Sony's losing exclusives, Sony's losing PS4 games, yada yada yada. Well, here's the rebuttal. Quantic Dream were never a Sony-owned first-party studio. Quantic Dream have always been independent, choosing to partner with Sony on projects exclusively for PS3 and PS4 hardware. After all, Sony funded many QD projects such as Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and more recently, Detroit Become Human. These games will remain exclusive to PlayStation since Sony invested in them, either funding full development, part development, or covered the marketing expense. So do not expect those aforementioned games to appear on competing platforms in any way, shape, or form. I feel this is great news though for QD. Far more people will get to play the studio's awesome games, and I appeal to the most level-headed among you, ladies and gentlemen. How can this be a bad thing? Unless you're a rabid, fanatic, miscreant, in which case, may I recommend you seek some therapy, because something deeply underlying is going on there. Gaming appears to be just another platform, the ultimate catalyst for their nonsensical babble and discourse. Though as usual, I'm sure you'll have your say in the comments. And for all your current and next-gen news updates, rumor and rampant speculation, go ahead, hit that like button, spread the word, and surely keep it locked to FOXY Games UK, not least because you're all thoroughly decent people. Remember, relevant links where applicable can be found in this video's description, and while you're there, share your thoughts and opinions on today's news, because that unfortunately brings us to the end of another video, but let's continue the discussion in the comments. Subscribe to FOXY Games UK, remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss content, thumbs up if you like it here, and help us reach more like-minded gamers simply by sharing this video. Consider supporting FOXY Games via Patreon, and or grab yourself a FOXY Games UK branded t-shirt or hoodie available in various colours if you are feeling particularly generous today. You'll find those links in this video's description. I appreciate the support. And that concludes our time together on this Wednesday. It was great hanging out. You've been thoroughly well behaved, and until the next video, always remember, play games, not corporations.